What if I told you that one Roman emperor appointed his horse as a government official, declared war on the ocean, and tried to make his sister a goddess? Today, we're diving deep into the completely unhinged story of Caligula, the emperor who makes modern dictators look sane by comparison. This isn't just another history lesson. This is the story of absolute power destroying a human mind, and how one man's madness nearly destroyed the Roman Empire. Buckle up, because what you're about to hear will change how you see ancient Rome forever. Born as Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus in 12 AD, he started life as Rome's sweetheart. His nickname, Caligula, came from the tiny military boots he wore as a child when visiting his father's legions. The soldiers loved this little boy running around their camps. When his father Germanicus died under suspicious circumstances, possibly poisoned by Emperor Tiberius, young Caligula became a symbol of hope for Romans who mourned their beloved general. Tiberius adopted him, but also kept him close, some say to watch him, others say to protect him. 4 years, Caligula played the perfect heir. He was charming, intelligent, and seemed destined for greatness. When Tiberius died in 37 AD, the 24-year-old Caligula inherited the most powerful position on earth. The Roman people celebrated. The Senate approved. Everyone thought they had found their perfect emperor. They were catastrophically wrong. For the first few months, Caligula was everything Rome wanted. He released political prisoners, gave generous bonuses to the Praetorian Guard, and held spectacular games for the people. Romans thought they had hit the jackpot. But then something changed. Some historians believe he suffered a severe illness, possibly encephalitis or epilepsy, that damaged his brain. Others think the unlimited power simply corrupted him completely. Whatever the cause, by late 37 AD, Caligula began showing signs of serious mental instability. He started claiming he could speak directly to the gods. He would have long conversations with statues of Jupiter. Roman senators watched in growing horror as their young emperor began making increasingly bizarre decisions. He demanded that people bow before him like an Oriental king, something Romans had always despised. The transformation was so dramatic that people wondered if this was the same person who had been so beloved just months earlier. By 38 AD, Caligula had declared himself a living god. Not metaphorically, literally. He ordered temples built in his honor and demanded worship rituals. He would dress up as different Roman gods, complete with costumes and props. Sometimes he was Jupiter with fake lightning bolts. Other times he was Neptune with a trident. He forced senators to worship him during official meetings. The most sacred religious ceremonies in Rome were interrupted so people could pray to Emperor Caligula instead of the traditional gods. He even commissioned a massive statue of himself to be placed in the holiest temple in Jerusalem, nearly triggering a Jewish revolt. Roman priests were ordered to sacrifice animals to Caligula's divine spirit. This wasn't just ego, this was a complete break from Roman tradition. Previous emperors were only declared gods after death. Caligula demanded godhood while alive, and he was dead serious about it. Anyone who refused to worship him was executed for treason against a deity. Now we get to the story that seems too crazy to be true, but multiple historians confirm it actually happened. Caligula owned a racehorse named Incitatus, which means swift in Latin. But this wasn't just any horse. Caligula had Incitatus housed in a marble stable with ivory mangers and purple blankets. The horse had a collar of precious stones and a human staff of servants. Caligula would invite Incitatus to dinner parties, where the horse would eat alongside human guests. But here's the truly insane part. Caligula appointed Incitatus as a consul, one of the highest political offices in Rome. This meant that a horse literally had more governmental power than most Roman citizens. Senators had to show respect to this horse during official proceedings. Some historians argue this was Caligula's way of showing contempt for the Senate, basically saying, "My horse is more qualified than you people." Whether it was insanity or calculated insult, the message was clear. traditional Roman institutions meant nothing to Caligula. In 39 AD, Caligula decided to invade Britain. This could have been a legitimate military campaign, but what happened next was pure madness. When his army reached the English Channel, instead of organizing ships for invasion, Caligula declared war on Neptune, the god of the sea. He ordered his legions to line up on the beach and attack the ocean with their swords and spears. Imagine thousands of trained Roman soldiers stabbing at waves while their emperor screamed battle commands at the water. After this victory over the sea, Caligula ordered his men to collect seashells as spoils of war. He then marched back to Rome, claiming he had conquered Neptune and captured his treasures. The shells were displayed in the imperial palace as trophies of this ridiculous campaign. Roman soldiers, the most disciplined military force in the ancient world, had been reduced to shell collectors in their emperor's imaginary war against mythology. The cost of this expedition nearly bankrupted the empire, and morale in the legions plummeted. By 41 AD, even Caligula's closest supporters realized he had to be stopped. His sister Drusilla had died, and he declared her a goddess, forcing Romans to worship her too. He was planning to move the capital to Egypt and rule as a pharaoh. Worst of all, he was bankrupting Rome with his insane building projects and games. The Praetorian Guard, led by Cassius Chaerea, decided enough was enough. On January 24, 41 AD, they cornered Caligula in a palace corridor and stabbed him to death. His wife and infant daughter were also killed to prevent any revenge. Caligula had ruled for less than 4 years, but in that time he had nearly destroyed the Roman Empire through sheer madness. His death was celebrated privately, though publicly Romans pretended to mourn. The Senate immediately declared his memory damned and tried to erase his name from history. But the damage was done. Rome learned that absolute power could corrupt absolutely, and that even the mightiest empire could be brought to its knees by one man's insanity. The story of Caligula became a warning that echoed through history, a reminder that unchecked power doesn't just corrupt, it can literally drive you insane. So there you have it, the completely true story of how one Roman emperor appointed his horse to government office, declared war on the ocean, and demanded worship as a living god. Caligula's reign proves that truth really is stranger than fiction. What other insane historical stories would you like to hear about? Drop your suggestions in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more unhinged history that they definitely didn't teach you in school.